otherwise, yeah, you would not be able to. Huh. Well, okay, we can go ahead and give a stop there because we already know what Super 2P does.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
so that is Joe Mac 2 Lost in the Tropics. I'm going to change the stream title once more, so go ahead and you lead us off.
I think I actually that was that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, not much had changed between the first and the second one.
Right.
I feel like I preferred the linearity of the first one, just the stage selection,
I feel
because
that.
it's not always clear where you need to go in the older titles from back then.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're too used to the hand holding in that sense, but
Yeah, I suppose.
um, yeah, it was good. I can't. It was very similar to the first one, so I think again that still holds up quite well. Um, the whole dying and then not coming back is still annoying, but
Yeah.
apart from that, it's pretty solid. I liked the um slightly different UI, but similar.
Right. Well, Marissa made a comment that is a good springboard for me to say what I have to say. She says, "I hate
Hmm.
that the she referred to the password system. That's why I never loved Mario when it would just be like, nope, game over, start at the beginning." Yeah.
Hmm.
So, that was the thing with certainly with the original Super Mario Brothers, where if you died, you had to start right at the beginning, which was not great. But if you're referring to like the later ones, they did let you save a little bit, like Super Mario Bros. 3 World and whatnot. So that was definitely a lot better. This one though, for a Super Nintendo game that came out in '94, I don't know about the idea of it using a password system. Honestly, it depends on the
Hmm.
game itself. Some games will use them, and some will not. And this is definitely one of the ones that falls
It
into
seems
the
like
password.
such a faffy way to get back to where you were as well.
Right? Yeah. And
Uh,
some people like passwords because it means they can like essentially skip the starts where they're not actually in the game by just like finding the passwords from people or whatnot. But to me, I like, and I can see the merit of that. But I will always prefer like an actual save system in a game. So I'm very
hmm.
happy in that regard that passwords have pretty much been gone extinct. But talking about the
Yeah.
gameplay itself, yeah, this game is definitely a lot more open than the first one. They got quite ambitious after that first Joe and Mac game. The core gameplay itself, same, but Joe and Mac 2 is more open. Now you can do all this stuff with villages. You can buy stuff. They seem to have been inspired a little bit by River City Ransom, which also lets you collect money to get like power ups and such like that. I do wonder what the long term benefits are of something like that, these mechanics. But from what I'm displaying here, if we're just talking about the core gameplay itself, it's mostly the same. That being said, the fact that you lose your lives and then you definitely have to use that password system is definitely a lot more strict than the first one. Um, I feel like even though there's a lot more in this game, I feel whether or not you're going to prefer the first one or the second one is going to largely depend on matter of taste because, like you said, the first one is more linear, and that might be more your cup of tea if you're playing a platformer, or maybe you prefer the more openness of Joe and Mac 2 in terms of exploring the overworld and doing all that such and such. Um, it's hard for me to say. I think I do prefer the first one a little bit. I think it was more simplistic and getting the weapons. So I think I personally prefer the first one, but I do appreciate what this one was going for. Like I actually like the fact that both games kind of stand out on their own in that regard.
It
So
reminded me a bit of Solomon's Key as well in the map. Was it
yes,
Solomon's Key? Yeah, the one that we played a while back.
yeah, the first one, the first one, it is a bit
And you
similar
go
to
in
that
the
as well.
submarine and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely saw the similarities to that. It's an interesting title. Again, I definitely prefer the first one,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, me too.
in terms of like how this one holds up, you can negate the password thing by using save states. So I don't. That's the one thing. Like if passwords are the only way to save these games these days, a lot of these games would not hold up as well. If I'm being just completely honest, but the fact that save states are active in a lot of these titles here on this online service lets me be a lot more forgiving to them, and that's certainly the case with this game because it's pretty fun otherwise. It's definitely a lot harder otherwise. We didn't find difficulty options like we did with the first game, but that's just remedied, I guess, by the fact the game itself is just a lot harder. It took us a bit to get to that minecart section, for example.
I know that pesky, unforgiving minecart. That was
Yeah,
that was not fun.
oh yeah, that definitely took us a little bit. And this game is both simultaneously more forgiving and less forgiving than the other one because you have more checkpoints, so you don't have to go back as far if you die. But then you have limited continues too, and then if you don't do it with all those continues, you have quite a bit of backtracking to do. So there's that game definitely has some flaws for sure, but it also has some improvements as well. Yeah, it's weird. I really thought going into this that this would be a start to finish better experience than the first one. But now I find myself wondering which one. I personally like the first one better, but now I find myself going between back and them is these are very different, unique games that one does not completely outshine over the other. I really didn't think that was going to happen. What do you think? How would you say that? In your opinion, how do you think this holds up?
Yeah, I thought I would actually definitely prefer the sequel, just in terms of usually in those days, the sequels, they'd a few years had passed and the technology had got a bit better. So you'd naturally assume, I guess, that, oh, yeah, the sequel obviously is going to be a little bit more smoother and stuff. But no, I definitely feel like I prefer the first one. And although it does have its a few, it's design flaws of the time, isn't it? Which now don't hold up as well, like you said, the passwords and stuff. But because we've got those obviously save points that you can now make, it does. Judging it based on the game it is today that you can play on the Switch, I think it still holds up. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, suspend points definitely takes a game that I would have originally said doesn't hold up, and I think it still does. Mm-hmm. I think there's fun to be had, much like the first one.
It's quite cute visuals as well.
Yes,
I like the little dinosaurs and I like the prehistoric setting.
Yeah, I like it as well. Much like the first one, though, I think this game is definitely best suited as a co-op game to get Joe and Mac in there and have them play. Marissa says, I know I would enjoy any modern games having a hard stop when you lose your lives. If the level starts over, fine, but at the start of the game, nope. Yeah, that's... Again, suspend points help with that a little bit, but I'll always be a little bit sour at a game, NES or Super Nintendo, otherwise, that says, go right back to the beginning of the game when you lose all your lives. I'm like, what's...
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, because a lot of these older games are not as long, so they figure that if they make them hard and you go back all the way to the beginning, that creates the replay value, because otherwise kids would finish these $50 games in a few hours, and they'd want a refund or whatever. But still, it's a relic of the time. But I think I'm glad that at least these games have these features where you can mitigate that by doing stuff like that, like the suspend points and such like that, so you can not have to endure that, and play these games and finish them and move on to something else, and that's good. Yeah, I'd say give this game a go. I think you'll enjoy it, and do so with a friend, because I think it's best that way.
Thumbs up, yeah.
Well, that's Joe and Mac 2 Lost in the Tropics. We're going to play our third and final game for the day, and that's